5 years, people have come to watch and listen and feel the thunder of the world's most powerful form of motorsports. The engine in a top-fuel dragster burns a potion of nitromethane and makes nearly 4,000 horsepower. That kind of energy launches with a force that give top-fuel cars the nickname slingshots. A funny car is anything but. As powerful as a top-fuel machine, the funny car's body covers all 4 wheels and the driver. It's lowered from above, hence their nickname, floppers. Pro Stock completes the drag racing professional triumvirate. Packing more than 700 cubic inches under the hood, a Pro Stock looks like the cars you and I drive, assuming we drive a quarter mile in 7.5 seconds and more than 185 miles an hour. Welcome to Bristol International Dragway, home of the International Hot Rod Association and Thunder Valley. ESPN, the world leader in motorsports coverage, presents Speed World. A capacity crowd is on hand in Thunder Valley for the Mountain Empire Chevy dealers IHRA Spring Nationals. Hello everyone, I'm Bob Barsha along with ESPN drag racing analyst Ted Jones in the pits of 5-time IHRA Pro Stock World Champion Ricky Smith, where the work is taking on a certain urgency. Ted, this is Thunder Valley, where everyone wants to do well, and Ricky really needs a good weekend.
Ricky's in a position he's not accustomed to. Ricky is number 2 in the points after losing to Tommy Mooney recently at Darlington. Now Ricky's installed a new 735 cubic inch Pontiac motor in his new STP sponsored ride, and he's out for revenge, Bob.
Ricky will be one of the great stories of the weekend, but right now let's catch up with Brett Kepner, who has news on our nitro-fueled competitors.
The 1989 season at IHRA Championship Drag Racing produced probably the most diverse group of winners we've ever seen. In fact, in Funny Car Eliminator, no one could win more than 1 race last season. But in 1990, that seems to have changed. And here at the biggest race of the season, the IHRA Spring Nationals, the 26th annual edition, it really looks like it's changed. This is the most feared 2-car team in IHRA drag racing history, the Chuck Etchells Connecticut-based Future Force Top Fuel Dragster and Funny Car. Etchells rounded out the season in 1989 by winning the Fall Nationals here at Bristol. He was one of 9 different Funny Car winners throughout the year. But he came back at the season-opening Winter Nationals to win again, and now, coming into this event, he's looking to do something no one's done in Funny Car Eliminator and IHRA racing since 1986. That's win 3 IHRA National Championship events in a row.
Thank you, Brad. And with the temperature at a warm 78 degrees and a wet 80% humidity, the engine tuners are really going to have their hands full this weekend. ESPN Speed World coverage of the IHRA Spring Nationals is brought to you by Quaker State. A Big Q is one tough motor oil. By Monroe shock absorbers. Your safety could depend on it. And by Budweiser. Beechwood aged for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. Someone this year along the IHRA television trail is going to win a beautifully restored 57 Chevy from Dan Chuck Manufacturing in California. Look for the IHRA secret race word and send it to Box 3029, Bristol, Tennessee 37625. Coming up later in our show, we'll have this week's word, and we'll draw the winner from all of the correct entries submitted this year. Coming up next, the ever-popular Night of Fire final round qualifying at the IHRA Spring Nationals. Stay right there. Back in Thunder Valley, Bristol, Tennessee, and the International Hot Rod Association Mountain Empire Chevy Dealers Spring Nationals. Bob Barsha and Ted Jones with you. Brett Kepner is down in the pit lane. And before we get to our Night of Fire final round qualifying, let's take a look at some of the match race action that took place this weekend here at Bristol.
Well, this was a special look back nostalgia, if you would, Bob, at K.S. Pittman and Stonewoods and Cook. These are 40 Willys, double-A gas supercharged cars, just the way they ran them back in the 1960s.
Well, maybe not just the way they ran them, but a great show anyway, Ted. Then it was on to the Night of Fire under gray skies here in Bristol. Final chance to qualify for the field and those all-important World Championship points. Pro Stock Night of Fire began with Doug Kirk and Mark Powak. Mark Powak, always a dangerous competitor, and that is not a red light. Remember, this is qualifying. This is not actually head-to-head drag racing. They're just looking for that all-important ET to get them into a really competitive field.
Well, Kirk turned in a 750, and that is right, Bob. They're running actually against the clock, not against each other. So if someone leaves early like Ricky Smith just did right there, it doesn't really matter. They're racing the clock to get into the field.
And Ricky Smith is used to being a top qualifier, this performance only got him number 6. In top fuel in the near lane, Richard Holcomb, who came into this Bristol weekend as the points leader in top fuel, up against Michael Brotherton, who's in Hank Hendry's old ride.
You can see the appeal as you see the flames out of the headers. Mike Brotherton, a 540. That's good for the number 3 spot, Bob.
And here's a couple of guys we haven't seen much of thus far this year on the IHRA trail. Paul Smith and Wayne Bailey. And Paul in the right lane to the right of your screen wound up as top qualifier in top fuel.
A 533 did the job very well for Smith, so he's to be watched during this race.
Now, because of weather conditions, we only got in one round in funny car. Larry Camenzino in the right lane broke, and Whit Bazemore was the only Nitro funny car to score a run in Night of Fire.
Whit Bazemore turned in a 6:15, which was good enough for first alternate. Didn't make the field, and here's what brought it all to a screeching halt. The rains came in a torrential downpour over Thunder Valley.
Mother Nature added her own special brand of thunder to Thunder Valley on Saturday night in Bristol, Tennessee. That was the end of that, but we'll be back with the first of Sunday's eliminations. Coming up, quarterfinals in Pro Stock. Stay with us. Back at Bristol, Tennessee in the International Hot Rod Association Spring Nationals. Now, in our first round of Pro Stock competition, we had a tremendous upset as our top qualifier in the right lane, Tim Neighbors, was knocked off by Morris Johnson.
And that's really unusual. Not only is Neighbors the number 1 qualifier, but he was running a mountain motor. Morris Johnson at only 500 cubic inches.
Hot on a mountaintop.
Hot on a mountaintop is right. I'll tell you, very seldom, and you know this better than anybody, does the number 1 qualifier lose out to the number 16 man. You beat Tim Neighbors 761 to his quicker 758.
Well, that's good. It's been a long time since I get to talk to you on TV, so it's exciting.
I'll tell you, you have done amazing things and gone through quite a few new cars. This one is basically brand new, and that one was won by your driving ability. What's the car situation?
Well, it's the first run. I felt like the cars really worked this weekend. This mountain has really surprised us, and the extra wheelbase on the Beretta has really caused some problems. Really miss my old black Pontiac.
Well, you're not the underdog anymore. You're now the giant killer, so good luck.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Woo.
And with that woo, the man known as Mojo moved on to quarterfinals in Pro Stock, where he went up against Doug Kirk.
And ironically enough, he's up against another one of those mountain motors, Bob. Kirk running 689 cubic inches of Chevrolet power.
Kirk in the far lane, Morris Johnson in the near lane.
Both cars are Chevy Berettas, but a mountain motor against a 500-incher.
Now the 500-incher gets a little bit of a weight break, but they are very competitive, as you can see. And in the far lane, looks like Kirk takes it.
Doug Kirk stopped the upset with a 757 at 184 miles per hour. We'll take one more look at it, and you'll see as the car shifts to high gear, those big cubic inches start to work.
And by popping the chute a little early, Morris Johnson lost by a car length. Now here's a man we've been looking for all day long. Ricky Smith, as we mentioned, he's used to being the top qualifier. He's not here. He's going up against Ed Dixon.
Ricky Smith qualified number 6. That's unusual for Ricky Smith. Ed Dixon, on the other hand, qualified number 3. So this indeed should be won by Dixon if the qualifying numbers are any indication, Bob.
It's a Ford Thunderbird against a Pontiac Trans Am. There you see the very familiar STP colors, of course worn for years in stock car racing by Richard Petty. His new teammate in drag racing is Ricky Smith, and both cars launch hard.
Both cars running mountain motors, 723 cubic inches, so at the finish line, it's Ed Dixon as he indeed upset Ricky Smith with a 750 high gear charge.
An amazing upset as they continue here at Bristol. Ricky Smith is the 5-time IHRA World Champion. I think he expected to get straight through this round, and with our special point of view camera at the finish, you see how close it was.
Well, Ed Dixon, that was probably the biggest victory you've had in the last 2 seasons. 750 to Ricky Smith's losing 754. And more importantly, I know you're interested for the 4th run now, over 190 miles an hour, 193 again.
Well,
fastest car here by 7 miles per hour.
I'm glad to win. That man's beaten me 8 or 9 times. I'm just glad to get by him. You beat him, you beat somebody, you know.
Our next matchup will have Terry Adams, who beat Frank Sanchez in the first round. And he'll be going up against a real favorite in pro stock here in the IHRA, Harold Denton, in the Party Time car owned by IHRA President Jim Ruth.
Well, the Party Time has had everybody in the drag racing world talking because he's been turning in some phenomenal ETs. He almost went 200 mile an hour earlier in the season. Adams, on the other hand, who lives right down the road in North Wilkesboro from Harold, could do about anything. Adams running 500 cubic inches, Denton running 742.
Oh, and Denton got a rolling start there, kind of bobbled at the lights. Big lead for Terry Adams. Let's see if he can hold to the finish, and he does.
But I think we have a foul start. Let's take a look. Yes, Harold Denton, the winner, with a 7.58. We'll look one more time. Watch the tree right in the center. You see Adams leave early, punch on the foul light. That's the end of the race.
Well, Harold Denton fooled me as well with that one. We move on to our next pair, which will see Tommy Mooney, our points leader, going up against Mark Powack.
Mooney won the Winter Nationals by upsetting Ricky Smith, so obviously he has to be the odds-on favorite to take this round, Bob.
See the cars pull into the staging beams. First pre-stage and then stage lights. Oldsmobile against Pontiac.
Mooney from Chevy, North Carolina, running one of those 742 cubic inch Sonny Leonard motors.
The RPMs come up. A little bit of a bobble off the line there for Tommy Mooney. He is the points leader. Let's see if he can come back and take it. Powack looks to have a fender on him, but it's Mooney.
Watch those big cubic inches. 748, 195. Look at the speed for Tommy Mooney. He's on a roll again. Now, halfway down the track, watch. You'll see that they're actually equal at the 8th mile mark, and it's that high gear charge with those big cubic inches that tells the story.
Tommy Mooney, for the second straight round, you're the only man in the 740s. A 748 again will make you the quickest car going into the next round by a bunch. But more importantly, the speed on that run, 195.47 miles an hour, the fastest run of this event.
Well, she is rolling down there, but all we got to do, we just got to keep doing this, man. That's all.
Did you expect that kind of speed to come up? I mean, that's one of the fastest speeds of this event by a bunch.
Spun and got up on the tires, you know, so I know it was going good, but she was rolling down there, I swear.
That's what 742 cubic inches will do, huh?
Oh, she'll go.
Rolling indeed. Can that first 200-mile-an-hour run be far away in pro stock? By virtue of the quicker ET, Doug Kirk will have lane choice in his semifinal matchup. Tommy Mooney will have it over Ed Dixon. We will return to drag racing action from the IHRA Spring Nationals in Bristol, Tennessee after this.